Hey, this is Will with Everything No One Taught You About Money, and in this video, you're going to learn why your job is not paying the bills. And this is a frustrating one because, again, we all grew up with 90s financial advice being taught and being ingrained in us at a young age. Go to school, get a good job. What do you want to do when you grow up? So you did work hard, you did go to school, you did get good grades probably, and you went and got a job. And it probably worked on some level up to some point. And now you find yourself in a position today where the income you bring in after taxes and whatever else is absolutely not suitable for the way you want to live, and you're feeling tight and you're feeling squeezed. So that's frustrating because you look back and you go, I thought I did what I was supposed to do. And for a lot of us, some of us have, credit card debt and debt we shouldn't have, and a lot of us don't. A lot of us don't have any kind of debt. And so you're like, I did everything that I was supposed to do. What did I do wrong here? I followed the model. I did 90s financial advice. I did what my parents did. Why is this not working? And there's this big disconnect. There's really two reasons why your job is not paying the bills. The first reason is because of what I'm going to call external factors. And there's two of them. The first external factor is really just the increased cost of living and the nature that as you move from your 20s to 30s to 40s, your expenses are going to increase, right? So it starts out, with just you supporting yourself, and then perhaps you get married, and then perhaps you have, you get a dog or a cat, and then you have a kid, and then you have another kid, and it just keeps growing like that. And so just the nature of life is that your life is going to get considerably more expensive if you decide to start a family. You should start a family. Families are the best deal out there, but understand that it's going to get more expensive. Okay, so you're just going to have a natural increase and a natural growth in expenses. Okay, the other side of that coin is we have inflation. Inflation is this invisible beast that is honestly, truly, really not well understood, even by the people that talk about it all the time, like the media. Okay, so the best way that we'll have to do several videos on inflation, but the best way that I can think to explain inflation in a very short amount of time is I want you to imagine a riverbank. And you can see over time that water erodes the riverbank and the river gets bigger. The obvious example here is the Grand Canyon. I've never been, maybe you have, I would like to go someday. What they are saying with the Grand Canyon is that water and wind, but particularly water, have carved out these giant, cavernous spaces in the Grand Canyon over time. And it's just water, right? But water has an erosive nature. And that's very much how inflation works on money, right? So with inflation, just like the water erodes the riverbank and the wind erodes the high peaks of the mountaintops, over time, inflation decreases or erodes the value of the dollar. So if you have a salary that's $60,000 or $70,000 or $100,000, whatever, if that stays fixed and we have 2% or 3% or 9% inflation like we did a couple summers ago, your $60,000 salary is in nominal value staying the same, but real value is decreasing over time. It's losing value, it's losing purchasing power to go buy what you need to buy. So those are the two external factors. Number one, life just gets more expensive as you go on, especially in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, as you're growing a family. And number two, as the government adds to the money supply by printing and creating more money, it is going to devalue the money that you have. Okay, so that's one piece of it. The second piece of it, and this is really interesting to me, we're all in this system, right, where you're told to go get a job. So, but you got to understand what that system is. What that system is you are accepting a fixed income. Okay, and that 90s financial advice is viewed as prudent and safe and wise and stable. Okay, and that's not entirely necessarily not true, but there's a whole other side of that that's really insidious. We have already explained that life is, we don't know what's around the corner, and you can't predict every expense that's going to happen and when it's going to happen, despite what 90s financial advice says about budgeting. Blasphemy, I know. But you can't predict it, and we don't always know. What we have is that life is dynamic and unfixed in its nature, right? And the money you have supports your life. Life is dynamic and unfixed, and we have accepted a system where our income is fixed and linear. So we live in a dynamic, unfixed, not linear world, and we've accepted a system where our income is fixed and linear. That is a mismatch. That doesn't make sense. And then just for some icing on top, the way that a lot of the salary and the income work is set up is it's tied to time, right? So you get an hourly wage or an hourly rate or whatever the case may be. So that's really insidious too, because think about that for a second. And again, the goal with all these videos is I want you to learn how to think about money. We've tied income and money, which is something you can always go get more of, to time, which is one of the few things that we can never, ever get more of. And by the way, you also don't know, you never know how much time you have. None of us know when we're going. Okay, we know we're going, we just don't know when. So we've tied something that needs to be unfixed and dynamic to something that is extremely limited and extremely scarce, which is our time. That's a very limiting formula. I do not think that the person to blame here is your employer. Okay, they should pay you more. The system's broken. They're out to get us. I don't know that they are. Okay, and I'm sure that there are some dishonest, greedy, not great employers out there, and you may work for one of them. But we still have free will and we still have choice, and you have a lot of options on who you can work for. Okay, so we're not going to start throwing out blame to everybody else, because we need to own what we need to own and own our situation and own the result. So sometimes your employer might be able to pay you more, sometimes they can't, but that's not banging down their door, being entitled and telling them that we need a raise is not going to fix anything. Okay, you just need to understand that the system that we're all in is a system where, for a lot of people, income is tied to time, which is a scarce resource, and it's linear and fixed, and life is unlinear and unfixed. So why is your job not paying the bills? That's why. Okay, you've got inflation eroding the value of your salary. You've got natural expenses that are hard to forecast and increasing over time. And you've got an income that is tied to, generally speaking, your time. That's just a mismatch in the system. And then there's also those external forces eroding the value of your dollar over time. That is why your job is having a hard time paying the bills. So what are we supposed to do? A lot of you are thinking, well, and you're right, when you think this, I need to make more money. Yeah, you do need to make more money. But one of the byproducts of 90s financial advice is we all really only know one way to make money, which is to go look for a job, work for someone else, look for job applications, interview, and hopefully get the job. And yeah, you could go find another job that works the same way that just pays double, and that would give you some breathing room, at least for a little while, maybe not forever. And would that fix the problem? Yeah, maybe for at least a little bit, but you got to remember, like, when we factor taxes in, okay, like, it's, the government's taking a piece of that pie with them. So it's not just enough to necessarily go double the income you need to make, because you're not going to recapture all that. When you say, I need to make more money, yes, you're right. But it's maybe not quite that simple, because you're thinking, how do I make more money in the box, in the system? The real solution here is we look at the system we're in. And if we don't like the system we're in, we just get out of the system. There's a lot more ways to make money than just being an employee and working for someone else. And hear me, there's nothing wrong with being an employee and working for someone else. There's not, okay? But we have to look at where we are, and if this is serving you and if it's ultimately going to take you where you want to go. The real solution here is you're going to have to get out of the box. You're going to have to get out of the system. But so I'll leave you with this. What would it look like if you controlled a source of income that your family lived on, or multiple sources of income that you were the owner and controller of, and also it wasn't fixed? What if it was dynamic? What if it could grow and scale when you need it to grow and scale? So that's what I want to leave you with for now. Thanks for watching. We'll do more soon.